You're currently live. Yeah, it's just a goat.
So, well, sit down here. Welcome to our first official live video. My beautiful assistant here is gonna come into the frame here. And, well, we got a duck down here because this is meant to be when I'm over there. So, what are we talking about? Well, I'm David Burke. This is Priscilla Burke. We are the Fig Hunters. And, well, what we're doing today is it's not too warm of a day, but it's not too cold of a day. And it isn't raining like it has been for the last 30 days and 30 nights, it seems. And I'm realizing that some of these trees, like this Figa Preto here, need to be up potted. And some of the other ones, ooh, I just dropped that, have outgrown their 5-gallon containers. So we're gonna move to either 25-gallon grow bags, which I really like them because they're about as big as you can get and still be able to move with 2 people. So anything bigger, really you need a piece of equipment to do it. And then you're having to worry about putting them on pallets. And even with the 25 gallons, you're still worried about ripped handles. That's a topic for another discussion because we've actually been trialing to figure out which is the best grow bags to use. And I've gone through this is like 6 different brands now. And some of them are better than others, but again, that's a subject for a different time. So what we're doing right now is after a couple of years, or in some cases, if the fig grows so much in a year, we have to do what?
We have to up pot them because they get root bound.
And when they're root bound, we have to do something called root pruning. It's like getting a haircut. And well, it's definitely important to untangle the roots. You see everything really, even though this has lost its leaves and still pushing fruit, little fig that can, almost everything is dormant. We have no leaves visible on the trees. And it's a great time to up pot because when they come out of dormancy, they're gonna renew their roots. They're not gonna go into shock and they're gonna take off just like there was no issue. So, what I didn't show you because I was working on it is I threw in some great white mycorrhizans. I really like great white. We'll put a link down here in the description on how to get it. It is the highest value for mycorrhizans per amount that we have found on the market. It's water soluble too. So it's something you can put into your automatic water lines, which if you've been watching, we love them. I mean, it makes everything with our figs very easy. I don't know if you could see the rest of the stuff. We'll see. Miss Priscilla, can we scroll around so they can kind of, sorry, it's a little messy right now. It's winter. So here we got figs over there. Most of this stuff's already been up potted. We got all this right here to up pot, all these number 5-gallon buckets. And then we have number 5 pots way over there. And if you look by the tractor, way over there, or way over there, I guess, there's more number 5 pots. There are a lot of these big tree boxes, which we're going to be using and leaving in those tree boxes. And then there's some other in between size pots that may have to be brought into or put into larger pots. In other words, there's a lot of work. I know people don't like grow bags, but for me, grow bags are easy. So I'll show you how I do it. This is iPower, and this wet grow bag is just, I think, a random. I'm sure I can look at the receipt. Oh, there's another iPower. So iPower had a sale, and I grabbed like a couple hundred. I'll come over here. Don't do that. And as you can see, the density on these roots. So I'm going to put it in here. So I added some mycorrhizans. I added some no-fly, which I don't know if you ever heard about that, but it helps fight fungal gnats. That's our secret weapon. And again, that's water soluble too. So you can add that in to the spray sticks, especially in like a greenhouse environment type thing. And oh, I added our special ingredient, our secret ingredient, something that I really firmly believe about because, well, it caused things to go crazy from cuttings to full-on growth spurts, and it could be used in line too. It's Ivy Organics fertilizers, and it is the yellow package that we use. We make a tea out of it. We pour it in the inline filters. Well, you could put it in the inline filters. I'm always worried about things getting plugged, so we pre-make that tea, and Priscilla, the mad scientist she is, figured this all out. And I think there's a short video. Or was it a regular video, babe?
It's a short video.
It's a short video showing how to do it and showing footage of before and after within a 2-month of the great success. We had a ton of fruit last year, and what Ivy Organics does is it builds the soil. It doesn't just feed the tree to grow or produce fruit like some other brands do, but it actually helps you grow your soil. That mix in here is why I've got root balls like this in a year. Now, this was roughly about a year that we up potted this, and it is just kind of, it started out in a number 3 grow bag, I think, a 3. Or was it a number 1 that we started? I think it was either a number 3 or number 1 felt grow bag that we started this out, and we just put the a large branch in there. It took root, and it really has taken off. So I'll use this water to lubricate what I'm doing here, because when they're in, well, let me spray for a second here. Perk, would you tell them a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Well, just tell them what we're doing.
You're trying to break up the root balls. By using the water, it kind of helps loosen the soil away from the root, because what's happening is that the roots have gotten so dense they're actually constricting the soil itself. They're basically making a fist around the soil. So in order to be able to loosen the roots, you've got to get the soil out of there. And sometimes your fingers just aren't enough. So and then once you get a good portion of it kind of sprayed off, you reach in and you can start pulling some of the larger pieces apart, and a lot of the fine roots will end up actually getting trimmed off or root pruned.
I should say, typically, I would not be rinsing off the soil in this bucket because this had all our goodies in it. I would be on top of that that hillside there, on the dirt pile, but I just didn't feel like playing in the mud as much. We have to go do an errand in a little bit, and I'm gonna get dirty enough without being totally. And I don't want to get in trouble too about walking inside with muddy boots by accident anywhere. This ain't bad. I'll bring this over here. This is actually what we're dealing with. In this, because we started out in a grow bag, it still has a lot of perlite in there with the mix. I'm a big fan of perlite. It helps when you're rooting, and I probably go overkill with it. Then it's just like combing your hair. So you can see how they're starting to wrap around. Well, we might have been able to leave this in a smaller than these 25s grow bags for another year. You'll see, this is why it's important to wet. And if it breaks, it's okay. Unless I broke it from backwards, then I could have. Yeah, I pulled on the wrong side. See, this is what happens. It's going to recover. And this is wintertime. What can I say? Wintertime is when they're dormant. But what I did do there, ooh, I'm having difficulty. Could you hold it, baby? I'm showing. Is, again, I would be putting this in the dirt. When it hits the bottom, it boils back up. So you'll see where I'm thinking I'm pulling from the top roots, they're actually from the bottom, and they're starting to form this tangled mess. So with two hands, you can really easily figure it out. And let's see if I can untangle it real quickly, because I know we are on a time crunch, and I want to make sure I get this done. See, gentle, gentle, gentle. Oop. Okay, right here, can you hold that? There's where this side has the bigger ones. And I want to. The great thing about figs is they're going to heal. They're going to heal. And they're going to grow back. And they're going to be happy after this. Sorry, baby. I'm pulling pretty heavily against my wife here. It's not intentional. Here, I think I got most of it. Good enough for us, at least. So you can see some of these heavy roots. I know they make a tool. I was just talking about this in another group. Yeah, well, what group, I guess I should say. I was just talking about this in growing figs in containers, because that is a group that a couple of us mad scientists in figs have started up. And it is about, well, the complications, the lessons, the learning experiences, and everything else, because there's enough fig groups about everything else. We're going to focus more on lessons, how to, and well, and there's something that we're going to really focus on. It's the giveaways. Because God knows I love the giveaways. I know it hasn't been uploaded yet, but we're actually just finished with a contest for how many cuttings were brought down to the San Joaquin and the Golden Gate Scion Exchange. And we'll get that up. We did on social media, put that up on Instagram. We're on Instagram. So if you see us here, follow us there. Say hi. And Facebook, we put that up. We're definitely, if we're again testing these live videos out like this. This is easy, it's fast. I love live videos. You can actually see in real time, and in some cases we can actually get questions answered in real time on what we're doing or why we're doing something. and I could show you the process. And there's not a lot of editing, so you can see how I was kind of down there. I really find that keeping them wet really makes it easy, and then sometimes you just got to get a little rough. And I'm just trying to make sure this is untangled. And it's still pretty darn. See, you can see how they're hitting and they're going up. That is not something we want to do. We live in clay. Even if I lose a little bit, I don't want to get them where they're choking out the tree. We live in clay soil. So eventually a lot of our trees, again, will end up in ground. A lot will stay in pots too because they're good backups in case of gophers, ground squirrels, and anything else. But a lot will end up in holes in the ground. Learned something before without here is if you dig a hole just about a couple times bigger than your pot when you're in clay soil, like every place else tells you, especially in gardens and stuff, you just dig the hole bigger. Well, that's better soil than what we have. The tree will actually choke itself. And that was a bad day. That was a bad day. And it did that in less than 3 years. It just stopped growing. And when I pulled it out of the ground, I thought it had something else, another issue. But the realization that the roots had actually wrapped around so many times, I didn't know where to start. Now, I'm saying now, I would have probably just started cutting. I would have pruned the tree back down to a lower elevation and just started cutting and freeing up those roots, knowing that I could have saved that tree. Still haunts me. It was really nice. It wasn't a fruiting tree, but it was a tree that it was really nice. So here we are. Now that we're here, I'm going to come over here and put this in there, wash my hands. I know somebody's going to ask, why'd you wash your hands? You're about to get dirty. Simple. I'm pulling up my pants. And I need to write on the baggie. So let's step over here real quick. Grab two other things. Grab I just found out they make Sharpies that are huge. I mean, look at that. Big fat Sharpies. Let's see if it works. Who else just does it like that on their pots? Sometimes I'll give it to the kids to test out. See, that's why. And our pots end up with smiley faces. Now most of our stuff will come back and we'll stencil later on what they are. So I'm going to put just right here. And this one was 1232. It's Shasta Gold. So I'm going to make sure I mark it. This is wet, so I'm having issues. I'll mark it twice. Just in case. Again. And we'll move on to the next step, the important step here. So, see that? We're going to start giving our haircut. I'm cutting these fine roots off because, well, it'll encourage new growth. When we up pot 2, I'll do my best to keep the roots not in one. You'll see how I do it. But I don't want them just to be crushed. And we know when you got to trim your ends. You got to trim your ends. With 3 daughters, I'm told constantly, Daddy, I got to trim my ends. And it's going to help. So there we go. Good root pruning right there. Going to, I guess, sit right here. And that'll go back in there for a minute. So, I wasn't thinking, I guess, when I staged this stuff, put this over here out of the way. And I'm gonna put this right over there. So now that I've done that, like I said, I love these ones with handles, and this is one of our better brands. You can use a shovel, but I'm a firm believer in this. At least you get started with, it's your standard 1 gallon pot. I'll definitely use the ones that are a little bit thicker on the edge. And in loose soil, not hard soil, but loose soil like this is, it's easy. A lot of the times, I'm just down here working on things. I also believe that with mixed soil like this, it gives me an opportunity to inspect the soil as it goes in. Maybe pick out rocks or anything. Now this started out, the soil we got from a local place, and then it's been aged. I've added compost into it. But we started out with Kenny's Nursery and Topsoil in Vina, California. They're just, well, when you start making soil in 1969, well, worm castings that is, you start perfecting that science many decades before. And they're local, they're quality, I can get it by the load. And it seems to do great for us. Versus going down to, say, the box store, which is the only other real option that we have here, and purchasing something. I could go to a couple other towns, but like I said, they're proven. It's proven. So now I take these roots, and it's like you're taking, usually I'll have some help here. They go, I put them up in a ponytail. I'm not going to shove these at the bottom, because you can see that this pot is only so deep. In some cases, well, it's just a little bit deeper than this. And I want these roots to use the whole bag. That's what the purpose of this 25-gallon grow bag is for these roots to spread out. So I'll hold the roots up. And we will stick them in. I'll put that down there. I'll let the roots fall down. Then I'll start filling them up. Actually, I'm going to use this because I'm single-handed here. So here we go. Filling this up. Okay, now that you got a little bit of soil in there. Oh, when you're dealing with grow bags, how do you keep them from folding in on themselves? I should have said this. I put soil around the diameter and I kind of compact it. It'll hold everything open. So you don't need somebody else helping. Well, I take that back one more step. If I have my kids here, they're holding it open because I like hanging out with them. And I think it's important for them to be part of this. So here we go. Come down a little bit like right here. At this point in time, I might shake the roots up a little bit because I'm going off this height right here to there. It ends up about roughly here maybe. So I want to come up just a little bit. I'll push down gently on the outside. Not trying to heavily compact it. We'll water compact this, but it holds it from falling down. And we'll keep filling. We'll push it around. Now, I don't know if you can see it right here, but I got about that much room left in this pot. And this one, I'm going to take it down maybe a little bit more because there's some spots that might compact. And I'm going to create kind of a hill around the trunk. So when it waters, it sheds away. And if I'm loud, I'm sorry. Sheds away from the trunk and doesn't settle near the trunk, but it settles around here. And then be right back because I wasn't prepared. So I'll be right back. 2 seconds here. Enjoy the view. I'm back. So I walked over to another part that we have, and these are wood chips from last year. Hardwood chips and leaves that have been sitting on a tarp. They're starting to break down. You can put green wood chips. Nobody says you can't. I'm just telling you that that's what they kind of look like. They're composted a little bit. And they are. You do not want to add wood chips to your soil unless you have enough nitrogen in the soil. We've done that, and we've made our own compost, starting compost for the garden that way. But you also have to let it age. So that was a bunch of manure, that was a bunch of wood chips, and that was our regular soil. Piled it up and waited almost a year, turning it over for that nitrogen to break down the wood chips. And was it as good as just putting the manure in the soil? I couldn't say. It worked out all right. Anything works out better than clay soil, I'll tell you that much. But so there we are. I might put a little bit more on top. That mulch will keep it moist, even in the summer. The sides will start drying out and they'll air prune themselves a little bit. But this is an up pot method that we use. Now I'll have to wait for Priscilla to come back to try to help me move this because it's heavy. And I'm gonna wash my hands out. So now typically after I would I'd water it again. To help compact everything in and fill the voids. But since it's wet, we're not going to do that. I hope you found this educational. Again, this is like the first time we've done this. And, you know, if you have any questions on how to, please ask. Now, I know we always talk about figs, but that's not what we always actually do. I mean, we've done everything from fermented feeds for lacto-fermentation methods. Priscilla's, again, a mad scientist here. What's good, Fig Hunter? I just seen that from Corey. What's good, like what's good to soil? That's the broad. I mean, what's great is, I don't know if I can turn this. There's supposed to be a method. Let me see. Maybe that don't work. So we're going to do this. What's good is, what's great is something we're bringing into the farm, to the ranch, and it's pineapple guava. It's supposed to be cold hardy. We're going to put a couple of these in. Like I said, we do a little everything. We just returned from California Rare Fruit Scion Exchange, 2 of them. I think we mentioned that in the beginning. So I will be grafting like crazy. If you're up here in the north, I mean, a couple of gardening groups have already said, hey, I've got some Scions. I know I can at least handle right now 5 households per without getting crazy. What else? If you have any questions, Oh, the 3-in-1. The 3-in-1 paint guard. It's in the house right now because I didn't know if it was actually going to start raining today again. So I didn't want to. It needs a little bit of time to dry. I would paint that too. I come through, up pot, we'll paint them when we get a chance because it really does protect. We have ground squirrels, and this was a question I had to, we have deer. I said, Charles, what can I do? I've got some ground squirrel issues, not so much on the figs, but on some of our other trees. We lost a plum tree. We lost our, what was the other? Not the peach. I don't know. It was another fruit tree. I'm sorry, I can't remember right now. But literally the squirrels had stripped the bark at the base and got into the cambium layer. And he replied, hey, you already got it. Rubber snakes, that might work. Hey, that might work. I know in some people's yards, if they're in an urban environment, they can use sprinklers to deter pests, automatic sprinkler system. That's something that we thought about doing. It'd be easy to plumb in. It wouldn't hurt. I could talk more to Priscilla. But that plant guard really works. Now, if you have deer, like we have deer, we've got deer everywhere. That was another concern. And Charles gave me some advice. He goes, dilute it. We use it as a 4-year spray. That's all our 4-year spray is. It still has all the qualities of the guard, the 3-in-1 guard, but now you have it in leaves, and that will deter the animals from eating the leaves. Didn't realize that. Something else you can do that we're going to be doing a video about is just last week when I was having a conversation with Charles Melky about a couple of how to root things, and when we were doing our new episode, or the next episode that he was doing, I brought up using parafilm. Now I'll use parafilm or buddy tape is actually my preferred method for a lot of my grafts. But unless they're specialty figs, sometimes we're processing so many cuttings that it would be time consuming to wrap them all. Well, I don't deny that it has significant benefits to keep the moisture in the cutting as it's starting to root. Time sometimes is just not available. So get to the point here. I asked him, what if I dip that into the paint guard? The blossoms, the buds would push through, correct? Because I also was thinking about doing it for my grafts. Pre-dipping the cutting. Sweetest fig you recommend for Texas? Hold on a second, guess what? I have the person to answer that question. We got Texas. What part of Texas? Texas is big. Texas is real big. It's like on the East Coast. Come here, sweetie. She just walked back up. They say California, and I say, which part of California? We got a duck down here. So this is Dave, and he wants to know what the sweetest fig you recommend for Texas.
I guess it depends on the flavor profile. Do you prefer berry or melon, honey, citrus? I mean, I'm always going to recommend Amon Citron because that's my favorite, but...
Okay, well, I'll see. I guess maybe. The sweetest fig that we recommend is the fresh fig, but no. So that really boils down to something else, which we're going to have as a guest here pretty soon. Another mad scientist, again, growing figs in containers. He's one of the admin there, Lamonte Farms. And if you look back, last summer I think we posted a video about how to get the perfect fig. And that's by hand pollination or hand pollinating.
Ah, Jolly Rancher. We get asked about that one a lot. And
that's my favorite fig, other than the fresh fig, which is my answer always. I taste it the first time, and I love Jolly Ranchers. It brings back that wonderful childhood memory of going to the ranch. I don't know if you remember the sticks. They seem like they were this big when you were a kid, but they were really like only like this. And I used to get some of those, and I'd put them in my my saddlebag, and I'd go out and be a kid with a horse and a dog.
Unfortunately, though, the mother tree for Jolly Rancher is kind of on the smaller side, so we can only take so many cuttings in a season. We have to let it grow. Um,
That's
so we're hoping to have some later on this year. We just up potted into 135 gallon, so hopefully it'll spread some roots and put off some more growth by being in a larger container.
and we're gonna force feed it Charles Melky's ivy.
Yeah.
Fertilizer. I mean, we're definitely in that case. I'm hoping for figs, but I'll be excited with growth. I really want to spread that. We're working on some other methods to propagate.
Other than Jolly Rancher, that's in the berry family. Tehama Blossom is a good one. I really like that one.
How about Oro Blanco, white gold? Tehama white gold is a really fast growing one. There's
But we're talking about like strict berry flavor.
strict berry.
That's why I say Blossom is a good one. And it actually dries really well on the tree. And I found some this year in late October that it was dehydrated. Like,
Well, berry, would that include things like 405 and 276, which is Sibylline Dove? That was, I mean, berry.
correct.
We're talking strawberries, we're talking raspberries, boysenberries, marionberries, because we can give you
what we have on the website right now, though, is what I was talking
onyx.
about. I go onyx. I go berry tart.
Berry tart's
a great
amazing.
one.
And that'll do great in Texas.
And that's a fire survivor, so it does really well in hot and cold, just based on the location where we found the mother tree.
Ooh, I gotta bury my knees right now.
So I would, yeah, and that one's been confirmed common. So I would say, the number of Igo berry tart is 697.
That I don't know if you get a, yeah, definitely saving the genetics of that one would be important. Not only was it a fire survivor, but then they came down and it came within about 6 months of us having the Smithsonian out to take pictures, and that was something we shared, one of them that we're actually at. They came and the county, the government came and cut the tree down, which was sucked.
Yeah.
So we have the stuff that we're growing, which I'm glad that we gathered so many. Now I'm looking at my wife because she always says, why do you come home with so many cuttings sometimes? And I say, well, you never know. And as long as I'm doing the work, it's fun. But okay, Dave, David, we have to get going, and everybody else watching this in the future, reach out. Don't know how this sounded. I hope it was okay. If there's any feedback you want to give us, please do. This is a lot easier than having to edit with these monkey hands. I gotta tell you that much. And again, it's a lot fun to interact like we just did with you. Thank you very much. Well, message me real quick and we can send you a hat so you can make sure you're rocking the Fig Hunter Club. We actually got the new ones, which I'm sporting. I like them. I know the other ones look real crisp and clean, but this is my winter hat. The others are my summer hats. So I can get one in the mail to you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. God bless you all. Finding figs, making friends as a family, and just having fun. So playing in dirt. That's how do we shut this off. I'm gonna have to ask the boss how to end this because I'm not quite sure. Oh, maybe that's it.